Hello and welcome to Channels Book Club. My name is Olakunle Kasumu and it's great to be on the show. Well, we've got a book with an exciting subject. Well, a subject I find exciting and I'm sure you will. I'm talking about talents. Everybody has a talent. When we talk about talents, we often think about Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, Roger Federer, or we think about Davido, people who have been very exceptional in their fields. We often think that they are the ones who are talented, but the truth is, all of us are talented. Every boy, every girl, every man, every woman out there has a talent. We just need to discover what our talents are and then develop and use those talents for the benefit of mankind. Well, my friend Fred Mordi has written a book that is fascinating. It's titled The Talent Coach. Get ready for this because this is a book you absolutely have to grab, read, and then try and just implement. So many lessons there, so many wisdom tips packed into a small-sized book called The Talent Coach. I'm going to allow Fred Mordi to introduce and describe this book to you, but let's get to meet with him first and then enjoy the conversation to explore this book that I believe is destined to become a best-selling one, The Talent Coach. Enjoy this.
Frederick Mordi is a journalist, corporate communications practitioner, and author. With over 20 years of experience, Mordi has worked with Financial Standard Newspaper, Nigerian Breweries PLC, XLR8 Limited, Dangote Group, and currently heads the Corporate Communications and Government Affairs at Cadbury Nigeria PLC with responsibility for West Africa. Mordi, who has his first degree in microbiology from the University of Ibadan, has his master's degree and PhD from the School of Media and Communication, Pan Atlantic University, Lagos. Mordi joins Channels Book Club to discuss one of his books, The Talent Coach.
Dr. Fred Mordi, my good friend, welcome to Channels Book Club.
Thank you, Kunle. Nice to be back.
Great
Thank
to
you
have
for
you here again.
having me here.
Great to have you here again. How has it been? Because your last book we discussed on the show, it's been a while.
Yes, it's been quite some time now, yeah.
It's been a while.
Several years.
So you've been working on this since then.
Yes, I have.
I have to say this is a fabulous book. I have to say that in terms of relevance and importance, I think it's a very, very important work.
Thank you very much.
As viewers will get to see, understand in a few minutes. But I should also mention that apart from the nuggets, the values that are here in this book, the way you have written it, the style, it's very impressive and very engaging. Well done.
Thank you very much.
So let's get to introduce it. The Talent Coach, interesting title. What's this about for people out there who are curious?
Yes. The Talent Coach is the story of Dr. Joe Jordan, an African-American and a talent expert. He's world famous. He's been to several countries around the world, across virtually all the continents, talking on one thing, talent. He says that people can be successful in life by discovering and using their God-given talent to the full. That's exactly what he does, and that's what the Talent Coach is all about.
So to paint a clearer picture, Dr. Jordan was invited to Nigeria.
Correct.
By a bank.
Correct.
To speak on his favorite topic, which is talents. So he has his audience, and then he begins to speak to them on the subject of talent. And the audience, members of the audience begin to react, in curiosity, in excitement, at times maybe even in anger. What are you talking about? And they were asking questions, and Dr. Jordan was responding to those questions. And each one led more or less to what you expanded into chapters in this book. Is that a good summary?
Fantastic. You just hit the nail on the head. Kunle, what you've just said showed me that you read this book, not only cover to cover, but line by line. I employed a style in literature called faction in writing this book. Faction is a portmanteau word for fact and fiction. So part of this book, you see some facts, and then part of this book, you see some fiction. But they're all carefully blended together to give the reader a very sensual feeling. You find that there is a lot of intertextuality in this book. You find some dialogue leading into other dialogues, then the stylistics too, use of language. It was carefully curated using local Nigerian nuances. Even though an American is the protagonist, he also learned to use Nigerian stylistics, Nigerian verbal expressions. So that's what makes the book very, very unique. It will appeal to audiences across divides, both Nigerian audiences and American audiences, and then audiences elsewhere. So that's the kind of style I employed.
I hope this book really goes very far.
I hope so
all
too.
around the world, because it's a subject that is very dear to my heart.
It is.
Particularly when I'm with young people, the importance of, building your career or your future around your God-given talents. I think it's a very powerful topic.
It is.
Okay, so let's look at what Dr. Jordan teaches us here. Chapter 1. So powerful. Everybody has talent. I'd like you to say something about that.
Of course. I picked this quote from George Lucas, the Star Wars fame creator. Everybody you come across has one form of talent or the other, whether I like it or not. Everybody. Thing is, some people walk through life without really discovering their real talents. That's where the problem lies. You can see people making career switches at some point. For instance, Fela Anikulapo Kuti, the famous musician, the parents wanted him to be a medical doctor when they sent him to London in 1958.
Doctor? Wow.
Yes, precisely.
He went to study medicine.
That's what the parents wanted him to study in London. But when he got there, he switched careers. The parents were not happy about it. Fortunately, two of his brothers, Olikoye and Becker, became medical doctors. I'm sure that must be a consolation to the family. He discovered that he had music talents all the while, and he wanted to express it. But of course, his parents wouldn't allow him to. Let's face it, whose parents would want their children to go and study music? In those days, it's either medicine, law, engineering, or those sort of things. So, but the thing is, some people have not really discovered their real talents yet. So that's why they keep moving from one field to the other. Those who have discovered their talent tend to remain in that field where their talent lies. I'll give you another example. Look at somebody like Austin Okocha. He's a footballer. He's always been a footballer. That's his talent. Same thing, Messi and Ronaldo. Then you have other people too in other areas, like writers. Chimamanda Adichie, she can write very well. That's where her talent lies. And she discovered her talent. She's using it. Essentially, that's what this book is all about, helping people to think back, look at themselves, to see what they have in terms of talent. Once they discover this talent, then they begin to shine.
I underlined so many things when I was reading. This first chapter, everybody has talents, which you just said now. Dr. Jordan here saying,
correct.
Everywhere I go, I find people with incredible talents. Some of them invested their talents wisely and became wealthy, while others squandered theirs and ended up being poor. Then, if you scroll down, it says, so it is important for you to use your talent well. It was for this reason you were born. You were built to be the best. One of the things that caught my attention in this chapter, Dr. Jordan explained the inborn nature of talent.
Correct.
Is one of the things that really caught my attention. So we come with it. It's part of the package when a child is born.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct to an extent.
So it has to then be nurtured.
Correct.
With discipline, with learning, and all that.
Yes, you're perfectly correct. Talent can be inborn. It can also be, I don't want to use the word acquired. You can also hone your skills, your talents. You come with raw talents. If you don't polish them, they won't shine, just like raw diamond. If you don't polish diamonds, they don't shine, do they? So if you have talent, you need to polish your talent through constant practice. Footballers are talented, but they also practice a lot. I'll give an example. Roberto Carlos was one of the best free kick specialists, yes, in his heydays. So he said he practices constantly, even if God gave him gifts for kicking fouls. Practice is also very important. So even with your talents, you need to practice. Read books, get mentors, so that you become better and better at what you do. Talent can also be nurtured. It's a mixture of nature and nurture. A simple example would be this. There are 3 sisters from a Hungarian family who had no previous history of playing chess. I'm talking about the Polgar sisters, yeah. Judith, Sophia, and Susan. Their father, Laszlo, came out to prove that even if you're not born with natural talents, if you put your mind to learn something, you can actually learn it. And he conducted this experiment on his 3 children, chess. Before Judith was 13, she was listed among top 100 chess players of all time. She even at some point beat people like Garry Kasparov, Anatoly Karpov, and even Boris Spassky. That shows how good she was. There was no previous history of chess playing in the family. The father just came and looked for professional chess players to train these children, apart from chess, of course, they did other things too, not just playing chess. But that way, they became very proficient in chess. So apart from nature, nurture can also play a role. I also refer you to 10-year rule or 10,000 hours a rule by Anders Ericsson. Now, if you practice a subject or learn a skill for almost 10,000 hours or put in 10 years, you could become an expert at that sort of thing. Again, there's also the argument that someone who doesn't know how to play football, no matter how long you teach the person or train the person will never become like a Ronaldo or a Messi. So it's really no hard and fast rule, but practice also helps. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, you also wrote here. Anyway, I don't want us to dwell too much on everybody has a talent, because I want you to talk about the other parts. For example, the second part, you've mentioned a little bit about that, nature or nurture. Chapter 3, remain in your fields. Chapter 4, talented people and the Icarus paradox. Chapter 5, practice makes perfect. Chapter 6, dealing with the impostor syndrome. Chapter 7, what is your adversity quotient? I would like you to talk about remain in your field. What did you write about there?
Yes. Essentially, remain in your field means once you've discovered your line of talent, you will do well to remain in that field and begin to work on it. That way, you become an expert and an authority instead of moving from one area to the other. I give you another example. A Cristiano Ronaldo, for instance, is very good in football. You can't tell him to do 10,000 meters race. Those are for the Ethiopians and the Kenyans. They are the experts in those sort of things. So I think it's their genetic endowment, So essentially, that's what I mean by remain in your field. Once you've discovered that, hey, this is my talent, keep polishing it, remain there, and you become successful.
What is the most concerning thing that you have observed over the years when it comes to talent?
Yes, I do mentoring a lot. I have a lot of young people that I talk to, that I mentor, and I discover that some of them really are not comfortable with what they do at the moment. They want to move into other fields, other areas. So I then try to help them to do like with self-introspection to see if they are able to discover or if they are aware of the kind of talents that they have and how they can use these talents, to be successful. It's really very important. I ran a poll recently on talents. I was asking if parents would allow their children to do what they want. You know, in our days, our parents determine what the children would be. I give you another classic example. George Handel, composer of Messiah.
Handel's
The
Messiah.
father wanted him to be a lawyer, but he hated law and wanted to be a musician. Real trouble between him and his father. But at the end, one of the father's friends came visiting one day and listened to Handel play a piano. He was really enthralled. And that way, Handel's father became comfortable that, yeah, okay, maybe he's talented, let me let him go.
Wow.
So, yeah, people should really allow their children to choose what they want. So there's usually that concern, who will pick the career of the child. I know in India...
So you recommend parents to allow their children to pick?
Yes, but it should be done on a mutual basis.
To work with their children.
Correct. Just see where their talent lies. Don't force them to do what they're not really gifted in. In India, you have parents who, you know, different stroke for different folks. In India, parents determine what their children will be in the future, right from birth. There's usually 5 professional disciplines they look at: medicine, law, engineering, IT, management. So that's why I have a lot of Indians who are CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, and the Indians are one of the best in IT. It's something that parents inculcated in them right from beginning. But then there's a school of thought that, no, don't force your children to be what they don't want to be. Give them the room to choose what they want to be. But again, it has to be mutually agreed by both parties.
Why did you write on talent? You could have written on any other subject.
Yes. Well, I find talent, I'm always fascinated by talented people when I see them. Who isn't?
Yeah.
The whole footballing world is divided into 2. Pro Messi, pro Ronaldo. These are talented people. So we all love talented people when we see them. You know, musicians, actors, they're all talented people. So, I mean, if I have, I like doing research a lot. So researching on talent is also one of my strong passion, you know. So that's why I decided to just put something down on talent to also guide parents and children on how they can navigate this career landmine. Not really landmine, this career terrain.
And you also, another message that is here, which I observed, is that it doesn't matter how far you have gone in the wrong direction.
Very good.
You can always
retrace your footsteps.
Is that correct? But that's not always easy, is it?
It's not always easy. It takes time, discipline to come back. You know, when you've strayed off the path, it takes time and discipline to come back, but you can still do it.
Yeah.
You know, you need to be a round peg in a round hole, not round peg in a square hole. You won't really enjoy your career.
In your life generally.
Yeah, I mean, talent, all right, this book on talent is all-encompassing, multidimensional. I look at career, I look at sports, I look at entertainment, I even looked at management too. You know, so different facets of talent are represented here, not just the natural talent that we're talking about, different facets. Yeah.
One of the members of the audience asked Dr. Jordan in this book, how do you find your talent? How do you identify your talent? Because it's all well and good to say talent.
Correct.
There are millions of people who don't even know, how do I find my talent?
Brilliant question. Now, talent can be something that you do very well, a subject you know it is, something you can do easily, and perhaps your peers and other people can even tell you, man, this guy is so talented. Look at the way he sings. He's so talented.
Something that comes natural to you.
Exactly.
Something that people around you testify about, or they always mention to you once in a while.
That way you begin to feel that sense of satisfaction. Yes, I think I have talent in this. So it could be what you know and what other people around you also feel about you.
Would you say a lot of people underrate their talent or overlook their talent? So what I mean is, even when people say, at times, people around you say it over the years, you're good at that thing, you're good at that thing. Is it correct to say that a lot of people don't get conscious of that, don't realize how important that is? I don't know if I've framed the
Sure.
question
Very
well.
good question. What you just said reminds me of what is called impostor syndrome. Some people are talented, quite all right. They know they have talent. If it's public speaking, they can speak, but they still don't feel comfortable. They feel something is missing. So we refer to such people as having a feeling of impostor syndrome. You know, it doesn't mean they're not good, but somehow deep down they feel their achievements or what they've done, it can't really stand public scrutiny. There's nothing wrong with them. Just to reassure such people, we are all guilty at one point or the other. We feel impostor syndrome. It is normal, a perfectly normal feeling. We all watch Idols West Africa, and you know, those singing contests.
Yeah.
People come there, they believe they have this great talent, but at the end, it is it is the judges that really pick the ones they feel have gone the extra mile. Maybe the ones that have something that you would call X factor.
Yeah,
That's what they pick.
Yeah.
That's what they pick in looking at the best talent among all of them.
And, and there are some that go on those shows. They genuinely believe they are talented.
Correct.
Singing.
And they
but
fail.
It is clear that I was watching one guy the other day was trying to sing Twe by this guy. What's the name of this musician who sang his Twe? Kiss Daniel.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Kiss Daniel, for forgetting your name. I laughed my head off because he actually believed he could. You know, he had that singing talent.
Yes.
But you could see the judges laughing. They were like, "No way."
I know.
So that's the flip side of this. Where,
correct.
At times we're in the field and we genuinely believe we are talented.
Correct.
But the whole world knows we are not.
I know.
Right?
You're correct, yes. You're correct. In that case, that person might be gifted in some other field that the person really wouldn't have known. Just a question of going back again. This workbook will help that kind of person.
Yeah, the workbook at the back.
Yes, it helps you to reflect genuinely on the kind of talents you have. It helps you to think deeply. By the time you think deeply and answer those questions, your real natural talent will definitely come out.
Yeah, it's very practical because you ask questions.
Each chapter has 5 questions to help the reader understand and internalize the lessons of the chapter. And then if you notice, each chapter seems to have a lesson. Because Dr. Joe Jordan will ask someone or people to summarize what was learned at the end of the chapter and then to see if there are lessons to be picked. So that will also guide the reader that in this chapter, let's say remain in your field, these are some of the lessons distilled by the audience. So the book is kind of complex, almost complex. Because of, like I said, the style that I use, that intertextuality is really very good in this sort of things. The conversation flowed into the other. You know, there's a segue from one dialogue to the other. So that makes it very interesting and almost unputdownable. You want to see what's going to happen in the next chapter. You want to see what's going to happen in the next chapter until you get to the end.
Fred, I'm recommending this to everybody.
Thank you very much.
To read. It is a fabulous book and it's eye-opening, really eye-opening, even for people who have discovered their talents and are operating, you know, within their, you know, areas of talent, their spaces. Even for them, there are a lot of things here that are useful, you know, to get better, to get inspired by. And there are also a lot of interesting stories you share here.
Correct.
The stories of writers, great writers.
Correct.
Grisham, John Grisham. What's the name of?
Even Alex Haley. Roots. Do you know his manuscript, Roots, that became an international bestseller, world famous, was rejected 200 times over a space of 8 years by publishers. Because they never saw the potential in that book.
And it became...
so if he gave up, we wouldn't have known Roots today. People like that have high adversity quotient. Adversity quotient relates to your ability to deal with the challenges of life. When you encounter obstacles, do you give up easily or pull back or keep
Go
moving
ahead.
forward. Successful people always keep moving forward. Even Chinua Achebe's Things Fall Apart. When they sent the manuscript to a Heinemann, they put it under the table. They didn't see the potential in that book until someone looked at it and said, hey, wait a second. This is a very great book about Africa, before they reluctantly published it. That was in 1958. So successful people don't give up. They have high adversity quotient.
Yeah.
It's a term coined by Paul Stoles in 1997. Just keep having high adversity quotient. Adversities are bound to arise. It's how we deal with them that define us.
Oh. Fred, thank you so much. Thank you for this inspiring time.
Thank you,
for
Kunle.
this inspiring book. Thank you for joining us on Channels Book Club.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Great to have you here.
Thank you.
That's a book that every page packs a punch. Every page. You have to hold your notebook and a pen and just keep scribbling because there's so much in there. Get yourself a copy of that book, read it, and you will thank me for recommending it. This is where we have to end the show today. As always, we'll be delighted to get your feedback through any of our social media platforms displayed on your screen. My name is Olakunle Kasumu. Remember, one great book can change your life. Bye-bye.